Welcome to Lemmy Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I am your official Zeke Lamone, and this is the Lemmy versus Limey games, where we take all the good with Lemmy and the bad with Limey, and then at the end we tally up the score and we see where it lands on this here lemon scale. Today we are going back to the beginning of the MCU with Iron Man, starring Robert Downey Jr., and a plethora of other people that we will get to as we get to the movie. This is the movie that kicked off the MCU. And now it is the biggest juggernaut there is, and everyone is trying to replicate it, proving that just because you start it doesn't mean it's going to be successful for everyone. I mean, look at the Justice League. They couldn't get it going, no matter how much people want to say the Zack Snyder cut finally fixed it. I mean, it did, but whatever. Godzilla vs. Kong, sure, Godzilla vs. Kong is good, but, you know, all the other movies beside it were kind of mediocre. But the MCU did very well, and it all started with this one. So, without further ado, let's make it do what it do and get to the movie. Alright, and we kick off with, wait! Paramount? I thought Disney owned Marvel. Well, if you passed second Zeke, you would be correct. However, Disney didn't fully own Marvel until 2012, but Disney and Paramount had a partnership in 2009, so 2008 was actually 100%. When Iron Man came out, 100% Paramount's, but in 2009 they made a deal that they were going to share profits, but Paramount would still be the main distributor, but Disney would, you know, get a little bit of side chili cheese on top of it. And then in 2012, Disney just said, hey, let's make a deal that we're just going to take all of it, and we're just going to take Marvel out of your hands. And Paramount's like, you know what, we got this Transformers franchise. Let's go ahead and get it done. Disney house $4 billion. Paramount said, that's cool. We will also like half the profits of the Avengers and Iron Man 3. Now, that's probably not really how it went down, but that is the final details into it. Disney paid Paramount $4 billion, and then on top of it, they got half the profits of the Avengers and the following film, Iron Man 3. And after that, Paramount was no longer the main distributor. It was the main distributor for all Phase 1 movies besides the Avengers. And yep, and then after that, history is what it is today. Disney now owns all of Marvel products. Well, not all of them, but most of them, 97% of Marvel products. And now we are where we are today. And then 3 years later, Marvel then bought Lucasfilm and owned Star Wars as well. Both of these were really big gambles for the Mouse because they were really struggling at the time, but hey, it all ended up paying off in the end. While Paramount, well, we all know how Transformers ended up for them. Okay, so a little fun trivia for you. Now let's move on and get into the movie. Ooh, old school Marvel logo. Now it's the logo that only Sony and Fox used when Fox was its own production company that they used for their Marvel movies. And now we got that very, very long Marvel Studios opening that I honestly really, really love now. At first I was like, damn, there are so much of themselves, but now when I hear the dun dun, I'm just like, oh yeah, now this is a Marvel movie and all that stuff. I enjoy it now, but it was nice seeing the old school Marvel logo.
Quick editor's note here. We could not get the movie to work. Obviously, there's the copyright protection, so we don't have any footage. What we're going to do is use the trailer, so if you see any repeated movie footage, it's all from the trailer. Or if I can find like clips from online. But anyways, sorry about that, and back to the...
We kick off with the military as Back in Black is playing in the background, and Tony Stark is just trying to have the military have some fun a little bit. They're having some conversations. It's really, really nice. It's really funny and quippy. You can see why Robert Downey Jr. is basically just born to play this role, and then the tone completely shifts on the snap of a dime. The snap of a dime? That's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Well, anyway, terrorist attack, and they kidnap Tony Stark. And if you look in the background here, symbol's pretty familiar to a movie that's coming up very soon in Shang-Chi, because the Ten Rings is the terrorist organization here, and Shang-Chi is going to explore the legend of the Ten Rings, so it just proves it is all connected. And yep, we're going to kick off with a Lemmy here. because it is such a good cold open. You get a quick introduction to Tony Stark, and you just the shift of tone, because you're like, oh yeah, this is nice. We're having a good time. Oh my god. And so yeah, Lemmy for this cold open. And then we get into what happened like 32 hours earlier. I usually hate it when movies do this, but this didn't happen at the very end, so I let it go. Like, I hate it when we start at the very end of movies. I absolutely, if that ever happens to a future movie that we do here, it will automatically be a Limey. Just be fair warned. And you know, it's pretty nice. You know, now you get to really see the full backstory of Tony Stark and why he is who he is right now, with his father, you know, owning the company. Then it was handed to him and all this stuff, and he's doing all these different things. It was really nice to see that, so we're going to give another Lemmy for a quick backstory learn of Tony Stark. Just look at that. Just, look, it's 2008, most people get it, and it's going to bypass, hell, it bypassed me, but it's 2021, it's very, very noticeable to see this. I know I'm giving a Limey to something that will be a bypass in 2008, but hey, it is what it is. Jeff Bridges is Obadiah Stane, and Don Cheadle, Terrence Howard is Rhodey, and Tony Stark is not there to accept his reward, so Obadiah does as well, because Tony is putting in work at the dice table. Come on, Seven, come on, Snake Eyes. It always gets the best of us. So anyway, Tony meets this girl for a magazine company, and, you know, they have a nice little back and forth about, you know, morals and all that stuff. And then while they're having the verbal back and forth, they have a nice little physical back and forth here that we cannot show. You get it? Yeah. They were having can't say the word, because then I'll get demonetized, but it was a nice little back and forth. It's a little fun play on words. Okay, alright, yeah, alright, okay, you can stop the booing. I'll give a Limey to myself, okay? Oh, now Limey gets cheered. Okay, I see how it is. So it's then here that we find out that they had their little physical back and forth in Malibu, California. They were just in Vegas. This makes absolutely no sense. Because if you check the math, it's about a 5-hour drive from Las Vegas, Nevada to Malibu, California. And now I already hear y'all, but Zeke, Tony Stark is like a billionaire, so they took a plane over there. Okay, cool, fine, to your credit. That's still an hour and 45-minute flight to get there, even with a private plane. So you mean to tell me they had all this sexual tension to just, oh, I said it, now we're demonetized, whatever. They had all this sexual tension and just kind of just stood there on the plane for an hour 45 for a good 30 minutes when they get to his house? No, look, this girl's very smart. She ain't gonna do that. She ain't gonna go all the way over there. She might go to his hotel room. Like, look, we're all human and sometimes we just need a good I get it. But still, to a hotel room, maybe. She's not gonna go all the way to Malibu. And if they're on the private plane, they're not gonna wait to get to his house. Unless this was like round 5 or whatever. But still, whatever. It's still a Limey. Anyway, let's move on. Gwyneth Paltrow plays as Pepper Potts, and she takes out the trash, is what she calls the girl, and it's a very kill line, a Lemmy for her. And then Jarvis is played by Paul Bettany, who then later becomes the Vision. Pepper goes downstairs to tell Tony that, hey, you're going to be late for your flight because you need to be halfway across the world by now. And Tony's like, well, that's weird. I don't know how I can be late for a flight when it's my own plane. So we all kind of expect him to be this cocky SOB and be late again because he's Tony freaking Stark and he can do whatever he wants is what he feels like. And, I mean, he's not really wrong because he still gets to the plane very late. And then he is still there to introduce the Jericho, which is a very, very awesome machine. And I am pretty sure it's going to go on the list of Les Champions of all machines. So anyway, after he introduces it, he gets a little bit of the bubbly, and then we are right back at the beginning of the movie. And this is when Tony starts to see the light, because he sees all the terrorists from the 10 Rings have his guns, have his missiles, and have all of these things. And they want him to build them the Jericho. And Tony's like, no. And then he gets, you know, very forced into doing it pretty much. and he has an assistant, Dr. Ho, who saved his life by building somewhat the iconic chess piece that he did. So Tony reluctantly agrees to make the Jericho for them, but he really makes his own little centerpiece after getting some inspiration from the Ten Rings themselves, and then he builds his own suit. And all of this is just great, from building the suit, the conversation between him and Dr. Ho. You can see that Tony's like, damn, I'm messed up. It's pretty much how he is saying this, and this is his way of getting everything right. And then building the suit and like all of it coming out and doing all these first moves and all these things, and Dr. Ho sacrificing himself and that heart-to-heart with Tony. Absolutely phenomenal. All of this is absolutely great, and it is a standout. Tony is then saved after escaping the prison and then running, and some helicopters come, and he gets back to the States. And the first two things that he wants to do when he gets back to the States is, one, get an American cheeseburger. That's part of what I would want. A hamburger is my favorite food. And two, he wants to hold a press conference, so he is going to shut down his whole entire weapons manufacturing, which is basically his whole entire freaking company. And that's a lot of jobs just gone. So, Tony, your heart's in the right place, but maybe really think about it over here. I mean, you have so many jobs here. I'm still giving a Lemmy because it just shows that, yeah, no, he's here to take action. It's a really big story beat moment for Tony Stark. Because, he's like, okay, no, I'm no longer about the weapons. Because, from the first conversation that he had with the magazine person, about like, oh no, us making weapons is a very good thing, and now he sees the errors of his ways, knowing that the organizations like the Ten Rings can get the weapons as well. So, a Lemmy for that, but, in real life, if you're a multi-billionaire and for some reason watching my video, don't do that. Don't make a huge drastic change because everyone's going to lose their jobs. I guess I should give a Limey. I'm not gonna, but probably should have. Well, anyway, Obadiah then tries to talk Tony out of it because this is the one few times where I actually agree with Obadiah. Tony's like, no, let's get back to this ARC plan here and all that stuff. And Obadiah's like, man, come on, man. Let's make weapons. Let's kill people, man. Let's just kill people. Murder, murder, murder. That's just the business that we're in. It's basically what he said. Like, no, let's not save lives. Let's end lives. That's basically what he said. He didn't say that excited, but hey, that's basically what he said. Well, anyway, they then get home, and Pepper performs ARC surgery on Tony Stark. And I really like this scene because it really shows how much they truly care about each other. Like, yeah, they have a little bit of flirty things and all that, but you can just say that, oh, well, he's freaking Tony Stark, and, he flirts with everyone. But no, you actually see how much he truly cares about her and how much she truly cares about him, even though they're not a thing yet. It's one of the very, very few comic book romances that actually works. Like, even from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, I never really got Mary Jane and Peter Parker. It's just because that is the main couple, so you're like, oh yeah, well, of course they're going to get together, so of course we just buy into it. But Pepper Potts and Tony Stark is one of the very few comic book movie couples that, like, yeah, they're supposed to be together, and you actually believe why they are together. So a Lemmy, one of the very few great comic book romances. And with a new arc, and literally because, his old arc of being a big manufacturer, weapons person, and now wanting to save lives as his new arc, it is now time to get to work on the Mark II, which is going to be the perfect suit, but not quite there yet because it's silver. Anyway, you get this whole little montages of him having to learn how to fly and all this stuff. It's a little rough in the thrust, as you can see here, because he goes 10% and he just goes flying to it. It's a great, great comedy bit. And I really like how they're showing no, this isn't easy to learn. It's really, really hard and all this stuff. And then we have a little break because Obadiah comes to visit and all this stuff. And wow, just wasn't needed. All this stuff with the company, I get it, yeah, it's a board of directors meeting all this stuff, and yeah, he's this big multi-millionaire, has all these meetings to go to and all that, but this honestly could have just been cut. They could have done something completely different. They could have showed the board of directors meeting and because, spoiler alert, Obadiah's the bad guy, and show Obadiah oh yeah, no, we're gonna go back to weapons and all that stuff, instead of trying to back up Tony, instead of just having this scene. It was just really, really unnecessary. To me, anyway. So, a Limey for Obadiah. And then Tony learns how to fly, and it is time to take off and soar into the skies. And he tries to break the record of 85,000 feet that was set by the Blackbird. And this is a nod to the X-Men franchise a little bit, because the Blackbird, for comic book fans, is also known as the X-Wing, which is, of course, the ship that the X-Men use. But there is an actual Blackbird, and that is the actual record, is 85,000 feet. So it's pretty impressive on either way you want to look about it. So it was really nice to see that there was an X-Men nod in an MCU movie when these two franchises were owned by different productions. Now, even though it was really cool to see that, hey, he can fly, and he's been flying all this stuff, and he goes in and ices up, I do have to give a Limey, because it shows that his foot booster, whatever, jet, whatever, goes out as he freezes, and then he goes back down to the atmosphere, and then he unfreezes, and then all of a sudden, all of his jets work again. Like, it would have been one thing if just that boot one was just out, and like he was like trying to fly on 3 different things, but no, he all of them worked again, even though one literally blew out. So a Limey for inconsistency. Tony and Jarvis get to work on the Mark III, and Tony sees on TV that there is a party in his name that he did not get an invite to. Tony's like, huh, that's weird, I'm gonna head to this party. Jarvis, put some Hot Rod Red on that suit so that we can finally get the real Iron Man suit, and he is heading to the party. And everyone's at this freaking party. And Tony's like, how the hell did I not get an invite to this? Because Obadiah is there, Pepper is there, hell, Rhodey's probably there too. But here at Lemon Studios, the main guest is Stan Lee as Hugh Hefner, and here at Lemon Studios, Stan Lee is always a Lemmy. And here in the meat and bones of this scene is to build Pepper and Tony's relationship even more. And it's very necessary here to have a nice little dance. Pepper's like, oh man, I can't be dancing with you. Like, she just thinks this whole thing is wrong. But it's really not, and Tony's like, no, it's not. Like, he's like, I actually like you and all this stuff. And they almost share a kiss, and Pepper's like, hey, I need a drink. I need a drink if I'm going to do this. And Tony goes to get it, and then that girl from the magazine shows up. I guess she does live in California. I thought she lived in Las Vegas, but I guess she got stationed there to watch him, I guess, because, you know, magazine people do that. Anyway, and then she's like, Tony, you almost had me, because look at this. Shows him a photo of the 10 Rings Getting Started products. And she's like, I thought you weren't going to sell weapons anymore. And he's like, well, I'm not. So he goes to Obadiah to see what the heck is going on. And then Obadiah's like, hey, look, we need to make money somehow. So Tony's like, are we selling, like, under the rug here? Because, you know, this is not being safe. This is not what I wanted to do. And Obadiah's basically like, don't worry about it. Let's take a picture. So this is planting the seeds of, ooh, is Obadiah bad? Spoiler alert, yes, he is. And then Tony. Come on, man. Really? How are you going to have weed and you're going to have the sensor behind the picture frame? What's up with that, man? Come on now. You know, you're smarter than that to have the Wii sensor behind. I'm going to give you a Limey for that. Well, anyway, after he's doing this, he sees on the news that the 10 Rings are attacking even more. It's time to finally be freaking Iron Man. And it is awesome. I mean, from him showing up, I mean, just him building the suit too, and the freaking thing, and the mask comes down. I'm like, oh yeah, he's Iron Man now. He flies over, and then he freaking just goes to town on them, and I go, oh, I love how the 10 Rings are like, we gotta shoot them. And so he's like, okay, and then he just shoots them, and then leaving the leader to them all by himself, and then he's destroying all the weapons and all that. It's absolutely all just great, awesome stuff, and you are damn right, it is a standout. Give another 5 points to the Lemmy. So anyway, after that awesomeness, Obadiah shows his true colors, going to the 10 Rings, like, hey, you should have killed Tony and all this stuff. And man, I just wish I really cared. Look, this is almost a standout. All the Obadiah stuff is just almost horrible. It's just so bad. It was just so tacked on. Now look, this was during the time where the villains were really there just to help serve their hero's purpose of their story and all that. Could have worded that better, but anyway. So the villains were kind of like an afterthought, in all honesty. But really, like, this is the fourth standout. It would have been a stand because I only gave out 3 standouts, and this is 4th place. But there was another thing here that's a much better standout than that one. But man, yeah, I gotta give a Limey to just all of the villain stuff in general. So anyway, then Pepper goes to the office of Stark Industries and goes to Tony's office because, you know, Tony was like, hey, get all this stuff, get all this information so I can know why we are selling stuff underground and I can take care of it after she finds out that, hey, he's Iron Man and all this stuff. And then she finds out about Obadiah, about, you know, him wanting to kill Tony Stark and all these things. And it's a nice little back and forth thing that they have with some tension. I mean, nice is I just don't care. I just don't. I'm just like, oh my God, Pepper, just get out of there. Like, I care about Pepper. Don't really care about Obadiah and all of his stupid nonsense. And I mean, he doesn't even try. Like, he had her right in his grasp, and she knew what she was doing. But yet he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna let her walk away. Like, it's just, So anyway, he then goes to the lab, and then we get the iconic Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a bunch of scraps. I gotta give a Lemmy for that. You just gotta. It's great. And you know, he says it to the guy who randomly becomes relevant in Spider-Man Far From Home too. It's just great stuff, Lemmy. Obadiah then somehow gets into Tony Stark's house with Tony there. So this is why it becomes convoluted. You know how in the beginning, when the magazine lady woke up in the house and she was wearing Tony's shirt, and then she goes to the thermostat, and Jarvis goes, oh no, you're not authorized to do that. So she's not authorized, you have to have like certain authorization to get to the thermostat, but anyone can just walk into the front door. And then it becomes even more convoluted if you remember from the end credits, because when Tony opens the door, it literally says front door open before it breaks out, you know, to show Nick Fury's cool. So how the hell did Obadiah get in here? I'm going to tell you why. It's because movie, and this whole ending here, it starts to get rushed. Everything's cool. And, you know, first viewing, you're like, oh yeah, you just kind of go with it. But when you're someone like me who has to watch it multiple times, it's just very jarring at this point. And I'm just like, how did he get in? How did he get in? It's a Limey. It's a Limey. He then gives the whole villain monologue about why he's doing it, what he was doing, and all this stuff, and his blah, 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 and all that stuff. Obadiah just get the hell out of here and become Ironmonger. So he leaves after taking Tony's chess piece. And Tony gets to the garage and tries to crawl over it. He options to crawl instead of grabbing the roller that he literally pushes out of the way. Wouldn't that help you more, Tony, if you just got on the roller and like that? I feel like that would have been better, so I'm going to give you another Limey because I feel like you are smarter than that, Tony. You wanted dramatization over just, you know, basic thinking. I can't speak. Tony Stark then gets his new chess piece in, and it is officially time to suit up.
Next time, baby.
Oh, no, not for you, Terrence Howard. You won't have a next time. You won't have a next time at all. So anyway, it is now time for the final fight, and it's good. I'll give it a Lemmy. However, there are a few convoluted things within this fight. First off, how does Obadiah know how to use all the moves? We have literally spent a large portion of this movie to solidify that, hey, this suit is hard to have it like actually be a part of your body, and then have it to be like actually super huge and all that. He just knows how to do absolutely everything. Again, this whole ending is a little rushed. Gotta give it a Limey for Obadiah automatically knowing how to do everything. And then not only that, it kind of started a trend here with the MCU, because the MCU has a history of having all of these villains basically being the evil version of the hero. You have this one right here, Iron Man versus Ironmonger, and then you have in the Incredible Hulk as Hulk versus Abomination, or yeah, I think it's Abomination. It's been a long time since I've seen The Incredible Hulk. Captain America, Red Skull, it's evil super soldier serum. And then Iron Man 2, you also have Whiplash, which is basically another iron person, but you know, he has whips. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, evil super serum. Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, had the freaking smaller evil version, and it just goes on and on and on. You know, look, here they all are. Killmonger from Black Panther. A lot of people's favorite MCU movie. Just an evil version of that. I wouldn't be surprised if Shang-Chi is just an evil version of Shang-Chi. I think it is, actually. Yeah. No, it really is. It's just a formula that they do constantly, over and over again. But yeah, here they all are. Here's all the villains with their hero, who is just it's the good and bad version of that superpower. Here they all are. Look, I'm going to go out of frame. It's so annoying. So, another Limey for that. And then you get to the actual final moments where Tony goes to the center to draw Obadiah out so the arc can like go up and like kill him. Here's what the convolution is. Tony's in the center, so he gets actually hit by the arc. But Obadiah's on the side and just get hit by the electric parts. Obadiah dies from being on the side, but Tony lives when he actually gets hit by it. Then you're like, no, Zeke, Obadiah was knocked out. Is when he went into the arc and the arc exploded. That's what killed him. Okay, cool. I'll give you that. But why is Tony Stark, after he gets hit directly from the arc, still awake when he moves out the way when the arc does explode? He should be knocked out. If he's knocked out, fine, okay? Limey goes away, but nah, he's still awake, and then he's passed out when they cut back, which I think was like a little bad editing on that part, to me anyway. But it's still Limey nonetheless. But I would be remiss if I did not end on a Lemmy, because when Tony Stark says, "I am Iron Man," is one of the best final lines in all of film. Really, that's like one of the top best final lines in all of movies to me. So we will end this movie on a Lemmy. And the post-credits scene shows Samuel L. Jackson talking to Robert Downey Jr. about the Avengers Initiative, which officially kicks off the MCU, and with that, the most successful franchise was officially born. But there was an outtake of Nick Fury saying, "Hey, I used to only have to worry about mutants and people with bug bites and all this stuff," so giving a nod to the Spider-Man movies and the mutants over at Fox. But of course, they couldn't air that one because they're not allowed to say mutant. I think they could have said bug bites, but yeah, there was a lot of politics with them taking that outtake out. So it was just, "Hey, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative," and with that, a big franchise was born. Iron Man made $585 million, which is just a small portion of the whole entire $22.5 billion that the MCU has made since 2008. And the final standout, because there are 3 standouts of every movie, goes to Robert Downey Jr. himself as Iron Man and Tony Stark. He was absolutely born to play this role. I cannot see anyone else playing him. At some point there will be a new Iron Man. There will be a new Tony Stark. But for now there is only one and only, and is the perfect person to play him as Robert Downey Jr. So 5 more Lemmys for the actor himself. So with that gives us a score of 24-11. And that gives us here on the lemon scale a nice lemonade. You know, it does not quite make the freshly squeezed poll, because that ending really, really hurts his chances. I mean, the whole origin and all that is really, really good, but the fact that Ironmonger just knows how to use all these things, and how freaking he can just get into Tony's house without Tony knowing at all, or even Jarvis knowing, or Jarvis at least giving a warning to Tony Stark and all that stuff, and just a little silly thing, largely because movie moments. That's really what hurts it from going from freshly squeezed lemonade. So it stays out of lemonade, but it's still a really good movie. It's a movie I still watch every once in a while. It is the movie that kicked off the MCU, and it's fine. A lemonade is good. A lot of people don't think like, "Oh, lemonade is bad." No, lemonade is good. Store-bought, I can say like, "Oh no, it's bad." But no, lemonade, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Don't hate on lemonade. Lemonade's fun. Sure, it's not freshly squeezed, it's still lemonade. Stop hating on the lemonade. Well, anyway, I am Zeke Limone. You can follow me on my social medias at Lemon Studios 11. You can also give a nice little shout out to my editor here, and you can follow him on his YouTube channel, or subscribe to his YouTube channel, to say. And before you subscribe to his channel, make sure you subscribe to me. And also leave a comment. What did you think of Iron Man? Where would you rank it on the limit scale? What are some things that you liked and what you did not? And also, let me know what kind of movies you would like to see featured here on Lemmy vs. Limey. I will see you out here next time at Lemon Studios.